February last year, the Danish version of Matilda the Musical was shown in the Danish theater called the Royal Theater, Gamle Scene to us locals, literally means the old stage. And it's funny because it has been years since I watched the classic family movie with Mara Wilson starring as Matilda herself. But as soon as I heard about this new musical, there was just something. There was just something that pulled me towards it. You know, I saw this artistic poster at the bus stop and was like, there's something about this. So then, and I mean, I love cartoons and family movies and feel good movies. You know, where things don't get too rough and stuff like that. Not to say that I don't like hardcore action as well, but you know, I'm still a kid at heart. If my video game collection and anime wasn't obvious enough. But so I went to see it. Absolutely freaking loved it. Even still have the brochure with several cool pictures from the play. Here we have the school song where they have the skate in the background and the frightened children standing among the adult students, looking intimidating. And I tell you, okay, I have literally nothing to compare to because I never go to the theater. I'm more of a cinema person, but I loved the choreography, and although I don't really have anything to compare it to besides another classic Danish play I watched when I was 7 or 8 years old, I should know something good when I see it. I wanna say, here's a picture from the opening song. You know, where they sing about how all the parents adore their kids. And the funny thing is, while the adults were the same in every single act, Matilda and all the kids were played by three sets of kids who then rotated. And so here we have one of those along with the librarian. And I mean, it's not because I have to show you everything, but and here the scene where Trunchbull, who in Denmark was played by a man, he is grinding the kids with his gymnastics, or her gymnastics. So but yeah, I absolutely loved this play. A final one, I promise. And I tell you, these child actors, they were fantastic. Both when, I mean, all of it is acting, but both with their spoken acting and the choreography and the songs. I mean, kids. I don't know so much in theater, but especially in cinema, kids get people are really harsh on bad acting and that kid doesn't that kid can't sing and whatnot. I mean, kids these days, they have to answer to a lot of things. I feel that's very unearned or unwarranted or whatever you want to call it. But these kids were great, all three sets of them. And so in while while the English soundtrack is available for purchase, I have that one too, but I haven't really, I have it tucked away somewhere. And those songs are great too, but you know, the Danish is of course, I don't know if of course, but that's my favorite. And so I was kind of devastated, or not devastated, but you know, I felt bad when I learned that after the play was gone from the schedule. So I mean, the soundtrack wouldn't be released to the public at here in Denmark on CD or whatever have you. But then I learned, and I don't remember from where, but I learned that that a movie based on the musical would be released on Netflix, and so of course I looked forward to that. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, that's all fine and good, but it's probably just gonna be the English version, right? But still excited because in the meanwhile I had since you know again don't have access to the Danish soundtrack. So I went digging on YouTube for the English soundtrack and liked that too. I like both versions. But then imagine my surprise when the musical movie released last December, New Year, last December, and for some reason I decided to go into languages and subtitles, and I was like, Danish? And so of course I had to try that, and at first I wasn't really sold, and I felt it's a movie, so I have to watch it in the original language. But then I got more and more sold on the Danish, and slowly I started to recognize some of these voices. Like, are these voices from the actual kids who played the musical? And so were the songs. The songs were, I mean, when you said it to Danish, of course, then the songs were in Danish too. And while it wasn't, you know, because I went to watch the play 4 times, and while the songs, at least in Danish, and I imagine then in English too, in the film musical, they aren't identical or weren't identical to the play. It's kind of remixed, if you wanna call, because of course the melodies were the same, and the not the lyrics, but the context of the song. I mean, they sing about being suppressed and sing about how horrible Trunchbull is, and all of that stuff. So the meaning of the songs were retained, but the songs were again remixed, but not in a bad way per se. I could still sit there and be like, memories. So I was super excited to watch this musical, and and kind of be like, okay, I don't have access to the to recordings of the live stage anymore, but this is the next best thing, and not even next best in a bad sense or anything, but I have this now. I was like, also because sure, I couldn't of course help but compare the two. And I won't say that one is better than the other, just like I won't say that this new musical film is better than the Mara Wilson film. I mean, how do you compare even? They are two completely different genres. One is a musical, one is one is a family picture or whatever you call it, and yeah, so not gonna tread there. I think they are both great and both have an equal right to exist. But that aside, I couldn't help but compare and be like, I thought that the stage play was better in this part and in this part because, for example, when Matilda first gets to school and the older kids they sing about how rough this school is. Imagine the Danish play where the kids get onto. I mean, I showed you the picture before, so you can just rewind the video, where the kids are like frightened and Mom says I'm an angel, and these older kids standing there. You think you are something. Um, and then when the whole shebang, when the song actually began, and it was amazing. And while I kind of liked how the second half of the song in the film was them going through the school and the camera constantly sips to these letters, the alphabet song, you have A and B and C and D on the wall, not the walls, the doors that they pass. I liked how in that song and many other scenes throughout the movie, that because that's something I feel is really important, that if you make a musical, you have you can't use computer effects and stuff like that, so you have to make do with what you have. I felt that the musical did excellent at that, here in Denmark at least, and not always, but 9 times out of 10, I felt that the film did the same. Where, okay, this is a movie. This is something where we can manipulate and effects and post editing and mixing and stuff like that. We have the whole world is our oyster, with everything. I felt that they really took advantage of this being a movie this time again, with many of the scenes and effects, like and I'm gonna go into spoilers now, so be warned. But the scene where Trunchbull has just pulled them through this rigorous gymnastics course, and Matilda has finally had enough and calls Trunchbull out on her bullshit. And so she sings this. She begins to sing while Trunchbull is walking towards her and being like, "You little, I'm gonna." And while this is all going on, the music, of course, intensifies, and a kind of whirlwind is whipping up around Matilda. Her hair gets all fluttery, and there are two stages to that song. There's the one where she is singing really intensely, and then there is the quiet part where she is like, silence, and when she looks up into the sky and the wind, and I'm rambling, I know, but I'm just trying to say, and especially with the climax where she again, spoiler alert, she collects with her psychic powers. She enmasses this giant of chains that she uses to destroy all of the Iron Maidens that Trunchbull has prepared for the kids. So in that and many other instances throughout the movie, I felt that they did a great job at converting the play to a movie, and again taking full advantage of this being a movie, with special effects and whatnot. Um, there were some, and on that note, there were some things I was kind of sad was were left out, like um, when um, Mrs. Honey tries to confront, or not confront, but when she goes to Trunchbull's office to tell her that I just met this wonderful girl in my class who is a genius, and she goes up to the door, and her nerves get the better of her, and she sings about how pathetic she is. And not that's not a positive thing, of course, but I liked I liked the vocals, the melody. That song is missing, and a couple of other songs that I remember from the Danish play were missing as well. But again, I understand that when you convert something to something else, a play to a movie, you have to take into consideration the flow of the movie. Does it make sense to have this in the movie, flow wise and cinematography wise and story wise and context wise? Does it make sense for this to be in the movie, or do we lose nothing from cutting it out? Because in a play, I guess it makes sense that in the play there was this interlude song with Matilda's family, where her dad sung about everything I know I learned from watching TV. This silly song that didn't really have anything to do with the story, but of course it did have something to do with the father's character, that him and the rest of the family were these couch potatoes. But the story itself lost nothing from that song being omitted, for example. And while there is that one the song called Pathetic that I was missing. For the most part, I was like, this is a great movie. This is a great conversion from the play to a movie, and nothing nothing of value has been lost. I feel that the story flows perfectly, and again, taking full advantage of being a movie. Like, oh, this was one of my favorite parts. When Matilda tells the librarian this story that she comes up with in segments, where it later turns out that she has somehow retold Mrs. Honey's or Miss Honey, she's not married, Miss Honey's life story. You have Matilda and the librarian actually going to the circus in the story, and they are sitting in the audience watching the show, and later they are somewhere else. I liked how they were part of they were actually part of the story in this version. And what was I gonna say? I really I again I really loved this movie, and the listening to the Danish songs again, and again the fact that many of the child actors had reprised their roles, including one of the three girls that played Matilda, while one of the other girls who played Matilda was actually recast as Lavender in this movie. But regardless, the whole ending, spoiler alert number 3, that it doesn't just end with Trunchbull getting sent packing, but we actually see the school being rebuilt, and kids and adults alike, the teachers who were not evil, they all have a hunky dory time, and really really tying a perfect nice bow on the whole story, which according to what I have read, from the guy who wrote the music both for the play and for the movie. He was when he was handed the script, he was like, um, I'm not really sure if the movie needs another song, because I feel that what I've already created is perfect enough as it is. But then when he read the script, and with the new ending, he wrote this new exclusive song for the ending, and was actually happy that he did, because he was like, you know, this works. And that's another thing I really like about this movie, that, you know, kind of like with video games, you have a game that releases for the PS4 or the Nintendo Switch or whatever, and then it gets re-released, and you are like, why should I buy it again? But then sometimes the movie has an extra scene or some bonus material or whatever, and so I really like that. Okay, we had this stage play, and now we have a movie, but there's something in the movie that you haven't seen yet, and we promise it's gonna be good. Um, oh, one thing I really missed, because I I liked spoiler number 4. You know, Matilda, because she's mad at her parents, and understandably so, even though the librarian tells her that you can't right a wrong with you can't right a wrong with another wrong. Um, she puts glue into her father's head, and then throughout the rest of the movie and the play for that matter, he's like, oh, can't get it off. And in the play, after the whole mafia scene, and Matilda gets permission to stay with Miss Honey, the father suddenly, without a without any problems, takes off his hat and places it on Matilda's head, like, I what is the word I'm looking for? Not I like you now, but he has come to embrace her or accept her or whatever. I can't really think of the word right now, and I thought that was so beautiful. Both the fact that he now removes it and that he gives it to her, because I was like, is he now suddenly able to remove his hat because of Matilda's powers? Because throughout the whole play, whenever she used her powers, she would verbally, or mostly verbally, not when she wrote on the blackboard, but many times she would stand there really intensely and say, move, move, so that we knew that, okay, she's doing something, so that we didn't think, why is the actor just standing still and staring? But and my again, I don't remember what happened in the Mara Wilson movie, so many of you may be sitting there and thinking, you know, it was obvious in the original movie that she used her powers to remove the hat. I don't remember that, so just just roll with me for now, okay? So this theory of mine was confirmed in the new movie, where right as she says goodbye to her father after he has allowed her to stay at Miss Honey's, and they give hand, and the father is about to let go, but Matilda keeps him around, or whatever. She holds tight, and then you see her eyes focus, and she then begins to be able to lift the head off, and I was like, yes, that right there, that's what I needed to see. Though he doesn't give his head to her in this version, but I'll, you know, you can't have everything. But I was missing the mafia scene, because in the play, if any of you have watched the English play, or if you are Danish and watching this, if you watched the Danish play, right as the family tries to escape to Spain, I think it was, with the mom's the mom's gymnast partner or dance partner Rodolfo, who also, just like Matilda's older brother, was mysteriously absent in this version. But again, I guess they figured that the story lost nothing by not including them. That the story rolled off just fine with Matilda being a single child and without the mother having this other guy running around. But again, a missing big brother and a missing dance partner, I can live without. But I was missing the mafia scene, because we hear about this mafia, like Matilda gets home and the parents are packing, like, Matilda, pack your stuff. We are moving tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm gonna come and pick you up from school, and then we're getting the hell out of here. And she's like, what about my friends? Screw your friends. You'll never see them again. And you are like, shit, these mafia guys are dangerous, but you never see them in the musical. Like, I would have liked if, when the father comes and pick Matilda up, that the mafia guys come rolling up to him in their cars and, kind of cut him off from both sides. And then we have the whole scene where, should I hurt you, or should I, kind of really being intimidated, and you made a fool out of me. I don't like that. And where Matilda then, in the play, she wins over the mafia's goodwill by showing that she is able to speak Russian, and then when just as Sergio, is that what he is called in the play, the mafia boss, just as he is about to hurt Matilda's father, Matilda asks him, I suppose, because I don't I don't speak Russian. She tells the mafia to stop hurting her parents in Russian, and then she says in English, I think I've gotten tired of revenge. And that whole scene, her using her linguistic powers, or not powers, but her talent, because she's smart, to save her family. That was a really, really powerful scene in the stage play, and that was really missing in the movie. And I mean, the movie is already a little under 2 hours long, but this scene, I imagine it would have been 5 minutes long, if even. So I kind of have to knock the movie 1 point for omitting that, and half a point for omitting the pathetic song. But when that is all said and done, great movie, great remixed songs, great. Okay. To be fair, I thought that the choreography, the dance choreography in the stage play was better, but again, that's because the stage play doesn't have these gigantic sets and other things that the movie has. So in the stage play, they only have what they got. So there they have to really wow your socks off with how they move as opposed to where they are moving. Your eyes needs to be on them and how good their moves are. Where in the movie there are kind of focus on other things, like again the song where Matilda gets to school for the first time, amazing choreography, but you also only see them outside of the gate. Where in the movie they start outside the gate and then they walk through the school while they are singing. So again, I won't even say pros and cons about both versions, but more like both movies, the movie and the play, both have their strengths. I won't even say strengths and weaknesses, just both versions have their strengths. One does something incredibly well that only a theater can, and the other does something incredibly well that only a movie can. Both make perfect use of the format that they have. So and I know I was mostly going on and on about the Danish version, and if little Danish kids are watching this, they won't be able to understand a lick of it. I know that over here we are known for learning English in a flash. I mean, I got my first Pokemon, my first English Pokemon game, because that shit didn't get translated either. When I was 7 years old, I didn't understand any of it. I had to guess my whole way through it. And okay, it's Pokemon. How difficult is it? It's not Final Fantasy IV or anything like that. But the attacks and the items and where I had to go, and especially that guy not that this has to. Not that this is about Pokemon, but the guy in Viridian City who lies down because he needs his coffee. In Danish, I had no freaking clue what he wanted. I had to ask my friends or wander aimlessly around until I eventually found out. But I did learn English in a really at a really young age, and so does many Danish kids today, because many Danish kids are bilingual, whatever, and also because English is just really close to Danish in a lot of ways. Both many words that sound the same: sword, svær, cat, literally the same, just with a K instead of a C. But it's I'm just trying to say, whether Danish or English, I highly recommend that you give this movie a watch. Right, last I checked, before I started filming this video, on the Danish Netflix, it's the number 5 movie. I don't know if that's overall, or if that's just the kids section, but it's a great movie. Great movie, great set pieces, great and speaking for the Danish version, great voice acting, because obviously it's the same English actors but with Danish voiceovers. And sometimes it does sound a little synthetic. Like sometimes I switched back and forth between, because I was like, I wonder what this line sounds like in English. And of course in English, where the characters are speaking directly from their own mouths, you can hear that. Where in the Danish, not always, because I feel they do a good job at masking it, or whatever you want to call it. But you do sometimes hear that okay, it's a voiceover. It's not like it's not this character who is speaking directly. Like you can hear if someone just walked off set, you can hear their voice getting lower and lower. So they do a really good job at making it sound like it's actually their natural voices. But sometimes, at least to my ears, it was a bit obvious, but nothing that ruined the movie for me. And kids especially, I assume won't notice. I say assume because kids are smarter than you think. But they're gonna love it either way. Kids and adults who like kiddie stuff, it's a great time. It's a great way to spend 2 hours with a movie that has a really great message about standing up and being good, despite Matilda not always being good, especially when she's punishing her family. But you get you get the idea. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say. I say all, but I have literally been babbling for over half an hour. But what can I say? I loved the play, and I loved the movie, and was happily surprised that it was even available in Danish. I I just had a lot to talk about, and now I have gotten it off my chest. I was watching a couple of other reviews on YouTube, and because I was on holiday and didn't really have you know, I was on holiday with with my family, and while I had a great time, it was super great being together with everyone again. But I didn't have any space where I could get away for half an hour to film something like this. So I watched. When did I watch this? 3, 4 days ago, something like that. And ever since, it has been it has been really gnawing away at me. At I want to review it. I want to review this. I want to review this. And finally, I had the opportunity. So I hereby throw my hat in the ring. Yeah, I'm not bold. I just have a lot of not very much hair, and my mom insisted that I got a haircut when I came to visit. What can you do? Yeah, if you have watched it or seen the stage play, and you have if you have anything to add to the conversation, good or bad, whatever, um, fill fill it in the comment section. Like, subscribe, whatever you like. Oh, I can't believe I just said that, but I guess it's obligatory these days. Do whatever, and I hope that I hope you enjoyed watching me talk for way too long about something I really liked. So yeah, I'll see you next time I have watched a movie that I feel like sharing my thoughts on. See ya.